Hello, everybody, and welcome into the KDJ podcast. This week we got Ron Convers, and as always, we got myself, Ronnie, and Smitty. How you guys doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm really excited to chat with Ron here. It's going to be a good time, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Happy holidays, boys.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays.
Absolutely.
Happy Festivus.
Yes. Smitty, what are we starting with? We got the event recap first, or are we gonna?
Yeah, man. Let's talk about the end of the season here. KDJ season's officially over for 4 days and no, only 3 days. No, it's been over for a week. Last weekend didn't count, but
Yep.
yeah, we're done. We crowned some champions. We had an absolute blast at the little thing in Salina. Somebody says they can't hear Ronnie and I, but we had a blast at the party. We rented out we rented a room in this arcade, and it had go karts. And Darren Bottom claims to have gotten COVID from a go kart helmet. My man Ivan about died in a go-kart crash.
Yeah, I heard you about committed some vehicular something with poor Ivan.
I had nothing to do with it. He's just not a very good driver yet. He did tell me 2 seconds before we went in that this was his first time ever in go-karts. So that was awesome. Oh, we had this bumper car thing that like spun you around and put you upside down. That thing, I did that with Daniel, and that about wiped me out. But I tell you what, man, it was a great place to have our party. We had an awesome end of the year ceremony. I've missed that so much, where people receive their accolades, and Kevin Neufeld made everybody a cool little certificate and shared it, and we did that thing we talked about. They honored me with this is pretty cool. Don't know if you can see it, but the 2023 Service Award. So that's pretty cool to get that. After, man, I don't know how long. It's been a long time since I've been part of doing the KDJ stuff, but 2023 KDJ is in the books. Nate Taylor smoked us all. He tried to play every event. He played 42 some, and I see a little smirk on Ron's face because he's one of the only two to ever do it.
No, three.
Oh yeah, Harvey. Yeah.
Oh,
Harvey, you and Scott.
Scott Reed. Yep.
You
So we've now had all three. All three of them. They've all three been on.
Yeah. So, and then KDJ wise, today I sent the artwork off to Kevin at DD of all of the people who have sponsored the 2024 food drive, and we have over $5,000 in sponsorship to help us get kicked off. And I think this.
What's the odds we can get a look at that?
Yeah, this would be the right time to just share what we have here. Let's see if we can do this.
A little world premiere.
Yep, let me pull it up really quick.
Yeah, so this year, in an attempt to display the logos a little bit better, they were kind of small last year, and we just the simplest fix was to have fewer logos on the stamps, so more stamps. So this is one of the options. You can see all the people who signed up to sponsor us. Anybody who has their logo gave us $100. So all of these people are $100 logo people. And then there's a couple here in the middle who are $50 just for their name. So that's disc 1. Here's a look at disc 2. I see lots of repeats on there, and one first timer. This is our third disc. Once again, lots of repeats, and then we got the Wample crew to jump in on it this year. This is the fourth disc. We got Look at all those people that.
Hey man, I gotta give a little shout out to my boy Austin Price, Superior Linen, which is not even based around here, man. He just happened to see this just great people who just see posts to say, hey, do you want to help? Austin messages me and said, I would love to be a part. So I got him in touch with Smitty, and Superior Linen sponsored this year. So that's, I mean, people, so many great sponsors. There's everybody that donates. Awesome. It's just such a cool way that it happens.
So that's the end of the multiple sponsors, and this next part blows my mind, man. This just blows my mind. Our first ever, one of 2 full disc sponsors, Steven Sawyers with the MA40 crew ponied up $500 to get a lone logo on a disc. And what do you know about that guy?
That looks pretty sharp. I'm pretty familiar with those people. Yeah. So obviously we have a ton of folks at the Pie Marker office in Wichita that are part of the Kansas disc golf community anyway. And I just took it straight to folks and said, hey, we've done this before. Let's up our ante a little bit, and we were able to do it. So I'm happy to be a part.
Man, that's cool. That's cool. So
Great.
and Kevin will share a document here after Thanksgiving, a Google form, so TDs can start saving their dates for the food drive. For anybody listening who doesn't know how that works, it's super easy, man. You just say, give us the day you want, take a rough guess as to how many players you'll have. We will somehow get you Frisbees. We like to try to avoid shipping them so we can save money. And you use the disc that you want. You pay for only the discs that you use. Last year, the discs were just over $5, I think, a piece. And any profits made have to go to a local food charity. And then you either shuffle the disc onto the next food drive or get them back to Mason and I so we can find a way to get them out to somebody else. And last year we were able to raise over $33,000 to all the local food charities. So our goal is always to do better. So we've got our work cut out for us this year, but I think it's well within our grasp.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, maybe we can convince the Ponca City crew to run one. We haven't had one outside of Kansas yet.
Really? So that's a thing?
Yeah.
I bet they would be happy to, actually.
BDA sounds like a pretty good place.
Yep. They're pretty active. I'm sure they'd get on it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's introduce our guest a little bit here. We got Ron Convers Jr. from Blackwell, Oklahoma. Most people think Ponca, but you're actually from Blackwell.
Well,
and
now.
Say what?
Now
you are?
Yeah, it used to be Ponca.
You grew up in Ponca?
Yeah, I went to high school there. I graduated high school, and the next year they dropped a disc golf course in just south of the school there.
And the year after that, they invented the wheel, right? So I mean, that's pretty good. What a trio of trips around the sun that was.
Yeah.
So I say we just let Ronnie get started with 3 from the tee, and we go from there.
Yeah. What do we say? Let's give the people what they want.
Well, we're gonna give them what they get.
They get Ron Converse this week. This month, I guess. Ron, so we ask everybody, same 3 questions to start the interview. We call it 3 from the tee. The first question is, do you remember your first disc?
Yep.
And do you still have it?
Yep. I do, as a matter of fact. The first one I actual disc, we're not talking back in the Whammo days, right? The actual first disc I had was a P38 Lightning. That's the first one I purchased. Buddy let me have an Arrow. Actually, it wasn't an Arrow yet. It was before the Arrow. It was a Champion Eagle from the Champion Company, and he let me take it out and throw it, and that was what I started playing with. And then my first disc that I actually purchased was a P38 Lightning, and I still have it. Yes.
You were playing with Whammos or something before that?
Yeah.
Where'd you get the P38?
I think there was a guy by the name of Stan who sold discs, came up from Tulsa, and he was like one of the regional guys around here who was into that. He helped to install a bunch of courses, did a lot of the background stuff, but he always had discs in the trunk. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was pre-Reggie. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
No, it was before him.
I didn't know if it was. So you were before Reggie then, maybe.
Well, we were in different circles at the time. He was. I really hadn't met him when I started playing. I met him afterward through playing. He was one of the people that was there all the time.
And I think the last time I was in Ponca playing, which was 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, I look over across the parking lot and it was like a blast from the past. Reggie was out there with his car and he had a box out on the trunk. I was just thinking, this does not happen anymore.
Oh, it still happens. It's just not near as common. Well, they had a Tulsa Worlds just before or would have been just after I picked up my disc, my first one. So I ended up getting a handful of discs that were all world stamped. I think that was 86 they had the worlds there, something like that. So, yeah, I was off and running with all sorts before of him. I had at least
looking back.
Might have had at least 3.
Right on. Love it. All right. You get one last group. You get to go out. Who's in your fivesome?
And it's anybody I want.
Anybody you want.
Wow.
No limits. You can go anywhere, any direction you want with it.
That's pretty hard, man.
You might have wanted to watch one of our podcasts before so you could be a little prepared for this question.
Yeah. No, but it's just so open-ended. I mean, who do I want to take golfing? I would probably. I know so many really, really cool people that it would be hard to narrow that down. I'd have to go with the local guys. I'd have Smitty with me for sure. I might even take you, Ronnie. It's hard,
Oh, boy.
you know.
Honored.
If I could get you to break away from work, but no, it would probably be Johnny McRae would probably make it if I had the opportunity, and Matty O, if we're talking a small group, and then if I was to go up a little further in Kansas, I would grab Lupe and drag him along.
There you go. I like it.
I would have bet the farm that Harvey Young would have been in that group.
Oh, we're going to go into death.
Well, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah,
there's no limits on it.
Yeah. Just to see him again would be such a pleasure. But I would go with the guy that taught me how to play disc golf. I lost him this year also. John Heaton. And
yeah.
He and I used to compete quite a bit back and forth, and he was about 10 years older than I and liked to smoke cigarettes, and it got him.
I'm sure.
You know how that goes, man.
Yep. Hard, nasty habit to kick, too.
Yep.
As you know firsthand.
No
They've done that.
Yep. Cool.
That's I was expecting Harvey to be one of them too. So this one can be anything again, right? Doesn't have to be something you did, just something the disc golf memory that sticks with you most, your most cherished disc golf memory. And this is one everybody says that's awful hard. And we take multiple answers. It's okay.
Yeah.
No limit.
Wow. You have no idea how many years of disc golf I have, right?
Like I have a calculator.
That's pretty tough, man. I'd like to go back in time to the Players Cup that they had in Florida. I had such a good weekend. It was amazing. I played very well. I ended up not winning it, which was I would love to go back and revisit that last minute decision to just jump on the playoff without stopping to split the cash. That was sort of stupid. But yeah, no, that facility was amazing. The people that I stayed with and everything else, it was really a lot of memories tied up in that area. A lot of those people are gone. Some of the boys from Texas have moved on, um, and are no longer with us, as well as people that you might know. Smitty knows John Myra, my hero.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the guys down there, and his whole crew that came up that first year, and we had a real good time. I mean, there was manatees in the water hazards. There were alligators in the water hazards. There were, yeah, it was just phenomenal, and it was a top 10 disco or a top 10 ball golf destination in Florida, and I was staying at the private cabins for a week. It was yeah, not
High
Who
on
too.
the
else
hog,
was
huh?
with you? Was
Uh,
Vinny Miller and Chris Ware with you?
they
And John?
were they were there.
They weren't. They didn't stay with you.
No, I don't remember what. I think Vinny was. I didn't stay with those guys. I stayed at the Discraft had a place waiting for the honchos to come in on one of the back bayous, and they weren't there. They weren't going to fly in for the first like 5 days. They were going to get there late just for the play. So I got to stay there until they showed up, and then they moved me into a cabin to split with several people, and I ended up going from there to stay with the Texas guys because it was just a little too wild in that cabin, and yeah, that was way too much going on. But the whole thing was just amazing. It was just amazing. I went off, played well, pretty much called my shots, um, and ran it all the way down the wire. Beat Ken Climo by 2 strokes. Ended up tied with Barry Schultz and lost it in playoff.
That's what I was going to ask. I couldn't remember who got you.
Barry.
Barry.
Yep.
Well, he was pretty good.
He was okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever heard of him.
And then another one I remember you dominating in for clear down the wire was the USDGC. You played lead card of that also, didn't you?
Yeah, that was disappointing. I had some interesting fun times with that though. On the last day, I started 1 stroke out. About, let's see, I was at 11. Kenny was at 12. The nearest person behind us was at like 7, and then the foursome would have been, he was somewhere around probably 3 down, and I ended up after the last day I ended up taking 10th. So
Yeah.
that tells you how good I played that last day. It was like a 960 rated round at USDGC. It was a very impressive deal. But the rest of the days I played very well.
Yeah, I remember you were lead card action. I mean that was checking stats whenever they would come up. I mean, it wasn't like today where you could
No.
just tune in and watch it or even get, instant feedback. You'd sometimes have to wait,
Yeah. What?
God forbid, the next day to find out.
Well, weird things like we actually had a TV crew, an actual, uh, and I know it's not a big deal nowadays, but at that time it was something else to actually have a TV crew film you, and then I had a full interview on a live television show, and then they redid it, and then I had another interview with the guys that were putting on the USDGC, and because of everything that was going on, and because I wanted to make my sponsor happy. You remember those black windbreakers that had the white print across the front? So I'm under the lights and I'm wearing this black windbreaker with the white across the front, sitting in an Innova chair with my Discraft windbreaker on. And there was, I mean, because it was, that was really, there was only like 3 companies, and there was only 2 that were being represented very well at the time. And there was a large rivalry, and I just happened to be in the right spot. And so when they turned the lights on, that really stood out. And somewhere I got that clip, but it was, they were pissed off at me for that.
Yeah, you're not taking any pride in that, are you?
It was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah.
Imagine that, Ron pissing somebody off.
I was at Innova East being filmed for the USDGC wearing my Discraft sweat. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Good
Well,
times.
that leads us into one of our questions. Let's see if I can find it here. It was who? Oh, it was Lucas. Lucas wanted to know: have you ever been sponsored by anybody else?
Well, see, there was this guy by the name of Chris Bulby out of Winfield, Kansas, who sponsored me first.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I haven't heard Bolby's name in a long time.
DiscSource.net.
Oh, he had a company, huh?
It was a .com, and I got the first. I got some the early runs of the CE stuff through that, and I got to play with that in the late 90s. Okay, and then in 2001, I was playing a little bit better, and I won a bunch of B tiers and got picked up after winning the Glass Blown, or no, it was after I won the Emporia Open. I got picked up by Discraft and was with them for 11 years. In 05, after the deal with the Players Cup, I had a side sponsor come to me who was there at the event, who hooked me up with the hottest thing at the time, which was Phoenix Quad Shocks.
Oh,
Remember them?
oh yeah.
Okay. And so he was a sponsor for a couple years, because I had his shocks. I mean, so I had to say, yeah, I got his stuff. And whenever the first pair wore out, I went back and hit him up and got another pair. And that was the end of that. But it was with him. And then in about, what was it, like 08, 07, I picked up this apparel sponsor. They were sort of small. The guy really was just starting. He did dyed discs and stuff, sold them out of his trunk. And yeah, Jeremy Rusco, he was a great guy. Started me into that, and he was my apparel and what have you sponsor while I was sponsored by Discraft. And I was becoming not so happy with Discraft, and I talked to him and said, hey, listen, I'm going to do something and probably go find another sponsor. And he said, wait. And in, I want to say December, he drove by that year and dropped off this putter, proto putter, and said, try that. It's the first putter, or one of the first putters that we made. Tell me what you think. And it was a judge, but it was overweight. I couldn't use it because it was just, he wanted me to feel it, but the plastic they used was too dense. And so I went back to Discraft and I said, Dee Dee started making discs, and they said you've got to decide who your sponsor is going to be. And I said, okay, well, it's been good, and moved on. And so I've been with DD as long as they've been making discs, and well before, but as a manufacturer, I've been with them as long as they've been producing plastic.
That's a very familiar story.
Yeah, it should strike a chord with you.
Man, such an easy decision, and I feel like we both probably went the right way.
Well, I had some good times with Discraft, and I had some less than good times with Discraft. The one fellow that I really um, felt bad about leaving was, he's no longer with us either. He was the fellow. I'm going to have to work for his name because I'm horrible with names. But he managed the team for a while. Took a lot of pictures. He was a photographer.
Ryan Sullivan.
Ryan Sullivan, and he was probably Sully was one of the people that I really respected amongst that crowd, and yeah, I missed him when I moved on, and that would be the bulk of it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that kind of leads me to another user question. And it's a good thing you had that Quad Shop sponsor, because
man,
this guy wants to know how many discs could that old piece of crap lightning bag hold?
Ronnie, that lightning bag, it holds 48 discs.
Must have had 66 then.
It literally, it was just like a back, a suitcase shell, and as many as you could carry, you could carry.
Oh, man.
I saw you carry a lot of times.
Well,
One of
that
everyone.
point, I'd just throw everything I had into it and carry it with literally. I mean, because back then we didn't all have, a sleeve of discs back then was just like, oh my God, you got a lot of discs. Now it's not like that now, but it was then.
That's a good one. I got one here, Chris.
All right.
Jacob Sissel, he's got several on here, but one of the ones that really stuck out to me was a couple actually. One, he asks, what has pushed Ron to continue to compete for so long, and all these years still wanting to get out there and get it done?
I find disc golf to be a tremendous stress relief tool. When I need to focus on something besides the life that's in front of me, I can go and play. And if I want to play well, I have to focus on playing well. I can't dwell on anything else that's going on. So it's a short vacation in my head from anything that I need to get away from. That's one. Two, I consider it really good exercise. As long as me, I would drag people out and throw until the light went away. And I don't do that as much as I used to, but I should, because that's how I got to where I am now. And honestly, I've always been very, very competitive, and I'm good at throwing things. But I've played world-class billiards. I've played, almost any hand-eye coordination game that you can play, I've done fairly well in. And if I put my mind in it, I've done really well in it. So, yeah.
People, I've heard even maybe somebody on this podcast once say that I was kind of the king of playing sports that don't matter, right? Of old man retired sports. So I'm the same way, right? I was really good at ball golf. I've been a pretty decent bowler at times over the last 30 years. So I'm with you. I'm with you. I hope I can compete as long as you have, and that's part of part of it is I like to play against guys like you guys. I mean the competition, right? It's that competitive itch that
Yeah, I
that I
want to
like to
say.
scratch.
I saw one of the other questions, which was, how come I'm still competing? And I know Smitty has given me crap over the years for not moving up and playing um, older divisions, but I mean, until the last couple of years, I've been playing. Well, there's a stat for you. How long did I play 1,000 rated golf, Smitty?
Long time, I'm assuming. Ronnie probably can tell us.
I actually have that one.
Okay,
So
basically 20 years.
Ron, so there was, there's the ratings bounce so much that it is kind of difficult, right? You can back, especially, long ago when you had less rounds, it was easier to fluctuate a couple of points. But essentially, Ron's been playing 1,000 rated golf since 2001 ish, right? So over 20 years.
Yeah, until last year
of 1,000 rated golf. So that's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
It's impressive.
But so I didn't want to move up. I'm as long as I'm competitive, if I go and play with the grandmasters, then all of a sudden I'm a sandbagger. You know what I mean? It may be at Worlds I'm not, because the people that are there they're there for a reason. Well, most of them anyway.
Yeah, they have vacation time.
They have vacation time. But I'm not playing the 60-year-old guys. Tim Keith killed them this year, but he literally killed them, and not very many of them would have been very competitive in any other division. But I would have liked to have seen the open field. That's the reason why I really hate having the PDGA split Worlds up, is because I can't go back and look at, okay, so the open guys, they played the same course, maybe an alternating day, but they played the same course and they played this, and this. Yeah. And I can compare my score against how they did and know that, yeah, I was okay, or yeah, I was in the money, or, and that's hard to do now. I would have liked to have seen how it came out this year with that weird course. I mean, well, actually, both of those courses were sort of strange, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen how that played out.
I'm with you. I wish we'd have been together. I'd have liked to seen how the big boys did. I fear I kind of know what was going to happen on the Little America course. That course would have just absolutely been,
they would have destroyed
it. By the absolute elite players.
Probably. Well, yeah, but we're talking the top. I mean, I don't think that I know it's gotten deeper over the years. The top, what used to be the top 10 is now the top 30.
Yep.
But I don't think that beyond that, there were all that many players that would put together a well-rounded enough game to stay out of the OBs or out of the trouble that was to be had. Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of shots that weren't short enough for most of them to be reached.
Well, Joe Revere and Cale Leveska are both serious badasses, but you put the elite people on there with Joe and Cale, and they get annihilated at Little America.
Yeah, and it's hard, and like Ron said, it's kind of hard to compare the top, what we consider like the absolute top of the tour guys, with everybody else, because those guys are on a whole nother planet that we can't even see anymore.
Now,
it's not even comparable to the rest of us anymore.
Don't get me wrong. If you put them on a mountain course, Joe Revere is probably just as good as any of those guys. If it's a mountain course. No, seriously. You look at him versus Eagle, him versus any of those guys at elevation up there, and he's kicking their butt. But that's not the big wide open courses either. And see, I've come to accept that I no longer can play the distance game like I used to be able to. I just can't do it.
Right.
I'm with you. Like at Little America, I know that. Look, everybody in the world, everybody on the tour is going to beat the dog crap out of me at Little America. But I walked away from Thorpe Park thinking,
Yep.
if I'm playing well, I can play with most of the players on the planet on this golf course. And but that's the the difference we're talking about between where 550 feet helps you and where being able to throw something 330 feet accurately helps you.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, the big
We're
one,
old. We're old. The more of the story is we're old.
Yeah, the big one there for me was the big change in discs. I didn't use what I normally would throw. I couldn't. The stuff didn't
Maybe
turn
did.
over.
I didn't take a single disc out of my bag.
I changed mine up so much. I
I know.
really had a hard time throwing the.
Thanks
stuff
for doing that, by the way.
Oh,
I
you-
really appreciate you doing that.
Hey man, got to donate at least once. This is the first. That was my worst finish in like 10 years at Worlds. I took third.
Bum.
How crazy is it that we had to play every round together?
I've been telling you. How long have I been telling you to go?
Oh, a long time.
Yeah, that's because I know how good you are, and I expected to be able to play with you.
Sorry
every
about that,
round
Ron.
at Worlds.
Sorry about that.
I couldn't believe we got stuck together the first round, and I mean, I anticipated playing rounds with you later in the week, but I didn't expect us to get carded up the first round. And
That's crazy.
I mean, do you remember when we got done with our round? We're like, "What'd you shoot?" I was like 6, 7. Well, how about you? I'm about there too. Well, that was pretty good. Yeah, maybe. We had no idea that we were we were ahead of everybody.
Smacking everybody. Yeah.
We didn't even play that great.
No.
So, all right. So let's see. Got another question. This kind of backtracks even farther because I want to know the answer to this, and I think I do know the answer. Two-way. Jack asked, and you may have read this one. I don't know. He said, "Are there any discs, non-trilogy, that you miss throwing and have access to?"
That I miss throwing and have access to.
And having access to, like, if you could go grab a
Oh
disc.
yeah. Well, a lot of them are out of date. My last really big ace was just before I had to consolidate my DD bag and make it all DD. I had a Z Crush in my bag, and I hit a 485-foot ace with it. I loved those discs. I could make them do all sorts of fun stuff.
What mountain were you throwing down?
That was hole 13 in Ponca.
That is forever, Ron.
Sorry, dude.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I was for sure you're going to say the X putter.
Well,
Stratus.
I would have liked to have thrown a Stratus or a Stingray because I started with those. Those are having something like that. I was really hoping that the Patrol would be a real thin mold like that whenever they popped it out. As unstable as it is, if it had been thin, it'd been perfect. But unfortunately, it's just not quite as flat as I want it to be. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen one in the base plastic yet. Have you?
It's got a sharp edge on it, doesn't it?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't really paid attention, but
it's fun.
I do like an old crusty Stratosaurus Rex. I'll tell you that much.
Yep. No, that's probably a Crush would be my choice, or going even farther back, the Griffin.
I knew it, man. I knew it.
I mean, I have so many aces with a Griffin. It's not even funny because it was a for those of you who don't know what the disc was, it was a faster, small diameter mid range, 175 max, that was overstable. Not terribly overstable, but it had a weird bevel on the bottom of it. So, anybody know what a whippet is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You guys do, but I'm hoping
Well, here's
somebody in
me
La
now.
La Land does. They had these discs they came out with. The Ram was an overstable driver that competed with the Viper. Anybody know what that is? No. But so they took a Ram and they took a mid range, a hammer, and they put them together, top and bottom. It was both of them were 180 max, and when they combined the molds, they came up with this mid range that was called a heavy hammer, and it was what used to be a straight disc. All of a sudden, was overstable as crap, and they said, "Oh, that's sort of fun," and so they took they took the whippet and they made a 175 um, max weight disc, slightly smaller diameter with a different base, and that was the Griffin. And so it was a very overstable mid range for the time. And what was unique about it was instead of getting long skips, you got little short, like 4 foot high skips. So you could throw it at the basket, and if you landed it in front by 5 foot in front, it was going in. And I had that thing down for a while. It was dialed. I'd
I
love to have
believe
one
it.
of those back.
I believe it.
I remember you throwing a Ram back in the day. I remember that old white Ram you used to have. That thing, of course, that was 70,000 years ago. But
Yeah, that's been a minute. 90,
Um,
93, maybe 94.
I
couple.
got go for it.
Go ahead.
The one I wanted to know is somebody asked like how long you take to warm up before rounds.
Yeah, that's where it's headed.
Because I know I've seen you before tournament. I've seen you with 3 putters in your hands, and you're just trying to feel them all out. So I know I saw. Do you sometimes switch what you putt with from round to round, or
I putt with different things all the time. Okay, so back to warming up because that's a whole different deal. The warming up, I get up in the morning and I warm up. First thing every day, I'll get up and stretch. Especially as I'm getting older, it's becoming way more. And I am feeling the difference. If I get up in the morning and don't stretch, um, I'm in a physically very active job where I'm lifting a lot of weight, moving a lot of metal, and stuff like that. That if I would have way more chances for injury or uh, not be able to perform as well as I could. The same thing holds true on disc golf day. I get up, I stretch, have breakfast, probably stretch a little bit more, then drive wherever I got to go, get out of the car, stretch, and then depending on what I've had a chance to practice, if I've not been able to get out and throw drives, I'll go throw some big drives and make sure I'm in touch with my longer shots. But if I'm feeling good about all that, then it's just a matter of focusing in my putt and making sure that I'm not missing the little ones that I got to get all the time. Those 25, they all got to be automatic. So I'll go and I'll practice my putting for a good portion of time. Now you said 2 or 3 putters, and I use different putters depending on conditions. I know I have a different philosophy than a lot of people on putting, but I always thought, you don't use one driver to drive. Why would you use one putter to putt? I've got all the different wind conditions, or and so if I'm way far out, I'll use something that's more understable. I've got a deputy that's pretty flippy, or uh, for a while there, I was using the Swan Reborn for the basically same shot. And then I've got a judge that's sort of the middle of the road all the time. If I'm feeling there's no wind or anything, I'm putting that judge probably. Now, recently I started using a guard a lot more because my hand was having issues. And uh, if my release wasn't working properly, something about that big fat edge on the guard gave me a nice release. Don't know why, but it helped. And so I practiced with it quite a bit last year when I had the tendonitis and got to where I was playing, putting really well with it actually. So, uh, and then of course, not the not the Ricky version, but the old slammer in just crazy ass winds, or the typical it's going to blow all day kind of deal where it starts out at 20 and just does whatever it wants to from there. I'll take a slammer instead of a judge as my primary. They got
Or
no
you'll
time.
put it upside down.
Well, you can do that. I've done it before.
Well, you taught me that a long time ago at
Yeah. Well,
in Lindsborg, Kansas, is where you taught me that.
you don't do it with a slammer because they got that flat top and they fly pretty well upside down. But a regular understable upside down works very, very well to drop because of
It's
the shape of the wing.
interesting stuff. Smitty, I know you putt the same putter like all the time, right? You don't switch it ever.
Yeah, never.
And see, you see me. I mean, I have 3 putters in my hand all the time, and I'm with you, Ron. It depends on wind direction, distance from the basket. Sometimes just as I'm standing there, uh, what feels the best in my hand at that time, right? I don't.
Yeah,
I
this
don't.
one feels good.
Yeah.
Well, the other one is I'll get out of the car and I'll go to putt before I play, and this one's going in, and this one's not going in. I'm throwing the one that's going in.
Yeah.
And there's days when I just don't have the release with that judge that I always like. I'll throw the deputy instead, or maybe the guard. Whatever's working that day is going to be what I putt with.
Yeah. I love it.
Like Ronnie said, I'm the opposite end of that. If I miss, I don't want to be thinking, oh, that's because you used the wrong disc, dude. I just want to commit to one and figure out what's going on with that one. Now, it's kind of a lie. I have that old crusty blue Warden. I'll put that on longer putts on a calm day, but most generally it's just that red one and red one.
I definitely have one for longer putts, but I have my one that I stick with for shorter putts. I don't like.
Yeah, you're probably the same thing. You just don't want to be second guessing yourself.
Right, exactly. I don't want to be like, which disc should I use?
Well, but there's no second guessing. I know I miss putts.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. I'm very familiar with all of the putters that I use. It's not like I'm guessing what they're going to do. What I'm guessing is whether my hand is going to work the way I want it to work.
Right.
So when I get out of the car and whichever one's coming off the cleanest, that's probably going to be the one I'm using, because you'll find a day where if I'm releasing flat, I'm getting a good shot. If I'm releasing with a slide anhyzer, maybe a different day, the slide anhyzer is going to give me a better shot. And I can't do that with one putter. I can, but I have to change my actual shot. And this way I can keep the shot pretty much the same and just swap the putters out and I'm good to go.
Well, you're one of the people that I've leaned on, my whole career on asking them, what do you do in this situation kind of stuff, right? You even had a disc stamped with, all the wind directions and all that,
Yep.
So it doesn't surprise me that you do that because, like I said, I know that you might say that, but there's a lot more going on up there all the time than maybe you're letting on, right? You're always calculating what might happen on the shot.
Yeah, always. But because of the new job that I started, I am not able to get out and throw as many drives and go to a course. So I'll go and I'll do some field work, but I'm not doing even the field work as regularly as I'd like. but I've got a big yard with about 5 baskets in it, and so I'm spending when I'm needing to burn a little time or whatever, I'm spending time out there, and I found I was spending basically 3 hours a day, putting, and it really doesn't matter what you put in my hand if I'm spending 3 hours a day putting. It's just a matter of getting a clean release. And
That's more practice putting than Ronnie's done in 8 years.
25 years.
I do want to go back to the disc that Ronnie talked about that you had all the direction stamps. I remember getting one of those when I had first started playing, kind of. It definitely helped me learn very quickly. Like, just look at that really quick. Boom, that's what I need. So.
I had them make me up a hot stamp at the end of last year, and I expect to come out with that hot stamp this coming year as a fundraiser disc.
Cool.
It won't be quite as cool as the guy with the hat in the middle and all that, but it'll still have all the different wind directions.
I know a guy that'll buy one, even though it's not my brand. I got one.
I know you want to carry it in the bag so you know which way the wind's coming from, what to do.
Hey man, I got. If it's any way to cheat you at your own game, I'll do it.
Right.
I got a question from Kevin Neufeld, and I think it's an awesome question. So I'm excited to hear the answer. He said, "How do you balance work, family, and disc golf? I mean, as long as I've known you, you've always had a job that was super demanding of your body, often in hot places, like you said just a little bit ago, moving heavy metal." Probably actual work job harder than most disc golfers even can imagine doing, but you're always showing up at the tournament, and like Gerb said, you're the first one out there practicing every single time. So how do you balance that?
Well, I don't have a lot of other hobbies. And for a while there, it was a second income. It was just enough of an income for us to get by a little bit better than we would have without it. It was one of those deals. So I was going to work, So it wasn't just, for a while there, it was lots of fun and I enjoyed playing and I had a great time. And then the wife told me, we really can't afford, if you're going to lose, for you to continue to play. And so I started going to work and getting really serious about, okay, I'm going to go and have a good time and I'm going to make money doing this. And as long as I'm making money doing this, I can justify continuing to put the money out and the effort and the time to do it. And if I had ever fallen behind to where I wasn't competitive or I wasn't making enough of a turn back, I would have probably dropped off of the radar, because there was a trade-off. It was time away from home and time away from the kids. Now, I've gone through multiple crops now. We finally got rid of the last grandchild. He was a special needs kid who we kept him until he was 20. Well, 20. He'll be 22 this January, and we finally got him into a home, and they did that on my birthday. So it was a really nice birthday present for me. But after 45 years of raising kids, my wife needed a break. And there's always, it's always had something going on here. And that's a hard question, How do you balance it? I didn't do a very good. I don't think I did a very good job of balancing it. I mean,
well, I don't know about that. I feel like you're you're not giving yourself enough credit. For example, thinking to Worlds this year, the first time I saw you on the course at Thorpe, you said, yeah, I got off work at 6 o'clock. I drove all the way here. I took a 30-minute nap, and now I'm out here practicing. So, I mean, I feel like you put you put your job first, and then your family, and then disc golf. I would assume in that order. It sounds to me.
No, it's family, then job, then disc golf.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm trying to get it to the point where I can just quit working and have disc golf as my job eventually sometime. You know, it may be a few years, but I'm 61 this year, so it's getting closer.
Okay, so the follow-up question, I'm glad you said that, Ron, because most folks probably don't know that you're that old, to be honest with you. But it leads me to my follow-up question. How over the last, and you've been playing eligible for age protected forever, right? It used to be at one point it was 35, correct?
Yeah, when I started playing age protected, I was 35.
Right. So how have you decided over the last 25 years on what you're going to play where, right? I know that your skill level and your ability to compete has been a big part of that, right? You're the, little price stealing a little bit of Smitty's thunder from a little bit later on with some statistics, but the oldest A-tier champion in the history of the sport.
Okay, but the course that I won on was not particularly long. There was a pretty good wind up at the time. It was probably a 10 to 15 breeze. There was OB on most all holes, and there was a lot of tricky shots where you had to know the angles and make it do. And I was putting well. So choosing, and I played open because of that. It was Northeast Lions, which is not a long course. Then they played Griffin, which I consider more longer shots and open. And then they came back and played Northeast Lions. And I shot a 1089 at Northeast Lions. But
because it was all luck. We just heard you say it was all luck. It was nothing.
Obviously, it was nothing. It was just
it was picking the course to play open at was not luck. I'm
not sure I've ever seen 1090 be very much luck.
Well, no, not really. But I mean, on a short course or a wooded course, I can still play pretty well. And
right, the overall skill set is more encompassed in what you have to do. Right, it takes everything, not just let's go see how far we can throw it.
It's gotten a long way from, at one point in time, I could throw as far as anybody pretty much out there. If you watch the videos that I actually, somewhere I've still got discs from that original Players Cup. I was hanging with Garrett Gerthy, who was there as a 16-year-old hot rod. I had him, Barry and Kenny one round, and then I had Matty O, Barry and Kenny one of the other rounds that was filmed. So you get to watch both of those guys. But the thing was, I was throwing just as far or farther than any of those guys. It's just not no more. I got a little old. It's not, I don't have the speed on my hands to get it as far out as I need to get it on a big open course and still be competitive. As somebody pointed out, it really sucks when you're sitting at 80 feet and you need to be at 40 feet or you need to be at 30 feet, and that I found myself in that position entirely too much. I went and played Open Worlds at Emporia a couple years ago. and ended up hurting myself because I was trying to get that extra. It seemed like every shot at Jones Gold needed to be around 4 to 440 to be really in a good place, or at least a good portion of the set shots needed to be that little extra. And I was trying to give it more. And I went out and just killed the practice round that I threw at the country club. I mean, I killed it. I shot the best round that I'd seen anybody shoot at the country club in my practice round. And then the next day I came in and played Jones, and I was hurting already. I mean, I don't know what I did, but I think I tried to throw too hard too many times and ended up overdoing it. And I've got to where I'm trying to not too many full speed throws where I'm throwing, instead of trying to throw, 75, 80%, I'm trying to throw 95% controlled. And that you just can't really successfully do that. At 95% throws, you don't have the accuracy, and you end up hurting yourself if you do it all the time, every day for a week. And so when I was done, I missed cash at Worlds. That's the second time I've missed cash at a Worlds. The other was Pro Worlds in Vermont. I played Pro Worlds up there and missed cash by 2 strokes, which was disappointing. Had one bad round, but it's the way it goes. And it had been a while since I missed cash at a major, so I was a little disappointed by that. Made me stop and think that I need not to be playing those big ass wide open courses in competitive play
Well,
in that division.
it's just there's just no chance. You're being outdriven by 100 feet or more on holes.
A lot
And
of them are more.
There's no penalty for being off to the
200
side
foot.
either way.
Yeah, I could be 200 foot right and 300 foot longer and be okay. And that makes it, I can't say that about some of the courses, but Vegas was a good example. I don't think I'll ever go and play those courses because I watch them on video. The big boys throw a drive that's way off, not even close to the direction it needs to go, say 300 foot offline, and they still have an easy approach. It's not a big deal. Whereas if you take the regular line and can't throw as far, you're going to have a hard time. So, yeah, no.
Ronnie loves the Vegas courses.
Did you?
I've played. Yeah, I've played it twice. I've played the property twice.
In the open division? Oh, wait.
No. I've just played there.
Yeah,
But
see,
I'll say this: they're just so the holes are just long enough where they're 2-shotters for pretty much everybody.
yeah.
Right. So it does give. I don't know. I played pretty well when I played there. I do think that they're for an open facility. They're fair to the shorter players. But I would for us and the distances we throw, for us to be able to compete with the best players, they'd have to put some OB in and force those guys to narrow their target, or else
make them have a skilled drive. Wait, now that's just not right.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some research that I did, and like I said before we started the podcast, when it was just us, I was really shocked at some of the things I was finding. Okay, and Ron, you have some stats and stuff?
No.
Yeah, I've got a few. Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and do what you got first.
Yeah, if I start to jump on one of yours, just piggyback off of it.
Sure.
Okay, Ron, do you know what your first event as a PDGA sanctioned player was?
I do.
I do. As a matter of fact, I played in Polka City.
Not according to the PDGA.
Well, they lost it because I played with one disc. I had
You might not have been a member at that point.
I was a member
Huh.
in 91. And that actually, I think it was 92 they put me down for. But the first event was in Polka City at War Memorial Park.
So Pete, go ahead, Chris.
PDJ has you as 1994 at the McClure Open.
Nope.
Oh no, I do have earlier than that. So I do use two different sources. I source PDGA and Statmando. So Statmando shows the first ever event you playing sanctioned. First of all, the event you played in an intermediate,
Yep.
MA2, which doesn't even seem fair.
Doesn't even seem right.
Well,
In Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, on the 8th of August, 1992.
Yep. I didn't know that you could play a lower division than whatever I was I signed up for. I thought there was 3 divisions. There was the pros, there was advanced players, and then there was whatever I played, which was AM. And so I just signed up for AM, and I beat my best one of the local Troy Warrior. I beat him by 1 stroke. I don't know if you remember
beat him
him.
by 12.
No. Okay. Well, I beat him in 1 place, I should say.
That's the earliest one I found. Yeah, that was one of the ones I had too, Chris.
No,
Well, 94 was for me.
That was
Oklahoma State Championships in 1992.
That's what you had him at first?
Yep. Yep.
That must come from Statmando.
It did come, that one did come from Statmando, yeah.
Well, anywho, the McClure Open, way back then in 1994, you finished 13th place, Ron.
Yep.
I'm a little disappointed in you.
Sorry.
Do you happen to remember who won that event? It should be pretty easy to guess.
That wouldn't be Mitch Mack, would it?
Oh yeah, and he smashed your old butt. He got you by 21 strokes.
Nice. Now,
yeah. Okay, so then I just wanted to see what your first event was, and I was wrong on that, so I'll probably be wrong on this as well. Do you remember your first win as a professional player, member of the PDGA?
No.
The Turkey Creek Open.
Really?
You actually won in a playoff against Jack Wilson.
Yeah, in Bartlesville.
That I have no clue. It was just called the Turkey Creek Open.
Yeah, no, that was
Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Holy cow. Okay, I didn't think that was the first one though.
That's your first win.
It was in Masters.
In Masters.
Yeah.
So you must have been 35 at that time, or 30 something. I must have been Masters.
30 something.
Yeah, pre-40. Okay, so then I wanted to know, well, when was the first time he actually finished ahead of somebody without a playoff? His first true, I beat him win. And that was the following year. Do you remember that?
Nope.
It was in Stillwater. And you beat Mitch McClellan by a single shot.
So my first pro event was in Stillwater, and I took 3rd behind Mitch Mack and Mark Bosacek, the boys with Millennium. That was my first pro event.
That was the first pro event you played, or the first one you won?
No, the first one I ever played. As soon as I moved up and played pro, that was my very first event.
Well, this is where things are really shocking to me, though, because at this time, you and I had crossed paths. I'd met you on the KDJ because you'd come to Ransom and played the Ransom Open, so I knew who Ron Convers was, and I had you on this Ron Con moment. So I couldn't believe this morning as I was looking at this, that at this point in 1999, you still had not won an open event in the PDGA. You'd won many unsanctioned events, and you were a bad mamba jamba, but you still hadn't won a PDGA event.
In
We're getting
open.
there, though. We're getting there.
In open.
In open.
Okay.
Which just absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah.
As I was looking at this. Okay, so then I thought, good God. I'm thinking 99, he hadn't won. So I looked up myself and I started going through the first time that you and I played the same tournament, PDJ wise. We had played KDJ. In 2001, you and I both played the Frontier Open in Hays, Kansas.
Okay.
We sucked. We were bad. Okay. You got 5th out of 6 players.
Nice.
Do you have any idea who won?
Not off the top. I have no idea.
Blake Needles.
Wow.
Blake Needles won. Okay.
There's a name from the past.
Yeah.
You beat one open player, and it wasn't me. I wasn't playing open. You beat Rodney Dick
Okay.
in open.
Nice.
Okay. Myself, and you shot 215 strokes.
Okay.
I beat one person in advanced. One.
Wow.
I beat Don Mordecai.
Woo! Sorry, Don.
Yeah, I know. I really do. Because listen to some of these names that beat me. Brandon Mace.
Okay.
Brandon Mace smashed me. Michael Schoenhofer was there. He beat me and was right on your heels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, boys and girls, practice really does make a difference.
Well, you must have really practiced until the next year, because in 2002, you finally got your first professional PDGA win. Do you have any idea where it was?
The first one?
Your first pro win
In open.
in open.
No, I don't.
The mighty Shunganunga.
Oh yeah, actually I do.
And
That was
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that was an interesting trip. I playing against Tall Skinny Smith, the other Smith, and of course Eric McCabe, and I can't remember who else was there, honestly.
Oh, I've got the list.
Okay,
wait,
who else was
wait
there?
till you hear this list. This one's gonna be this. This
You
is
earned this, man.
This is This is you did
A
some
who's
work.
who's of the Midwest disc golf.
Absolutely.
This is amazing.
Babbitt.
Yes. Okay, it went you, and then George, and then the first redhead, the short one, Eric, then a little taller, slightly redhead, Mark Hedstrom.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Eddie?
Yep.
Good.
No,
Then
he
Kevin Babbitt,
Right.
and then an Okie who probably took a lot of these potential wins away from you, who isn't Mitch Mack.
Well, used to be Okie, Kevin
Yep.
McCoy.
Kevin
Yes, sir.
McCoy.
Okay.
And then the touring pro, Carlo Peg and Ray Johnson.
Yeah, Carlo.
Yeah.
Now listen to some of the guys who didn't make the money.
LaRon Harris.
Yeah.
Was there. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Otto, C.D. Steiner, Hudson,
Bruce.
John Cunningham. Oh my gosh, we're going deep in the archives here. Todd Henry, Ricky Vasquez. This was
Squeeze.
Nick Bunch. This was a win, is what this was.
Oh, yes.
What a way to get your
right.
first win.
If I remember right, Bruce was a TD.
I imagine he was.
at that point. And I remember doing the glow, and then I got a fat tire flyer and some other stuff out of that. And yeah, that was a big deal back then.
And I felt like I was there for glow and fat tire, but I couldn't find my name on the list in AM or pro.
They
So
did.
it must
They
have
had all
been.
sorts of- they did.
They probably did that multiple years.
You remember the premiums? I know that they used to do it in Winfield all the time. They'd get a bunch of premiums with your player pack. You'd get this disc that was like 130 gram, whatever it was, in a
Usually
mold.
birdie.
Okay. Yeah. Premium birdie. Well, they did that up there, and they had stacks of them, and they had a putting contest at that evening, the night before when we were doing glow. They had a putting contest, and I can remember me and Kevin Babbitt fighting it out. And you had this giant stack of crap, and you had a 30-second, 30 seconds. How many can you make in the putt? And I ended up, this is how I know that I'm the world champion kneeling putter, is because I was the only way to really win was to not stand up and hold them and then bend over and pick them up. So you just knelt and threw them in, and that's how I won.
And it didn't mess up your game, apparently, because that's an awesome first win. Pro win. Okay. It's crazy. So then the next year was the first time you crossed paths with one Ronald Unruh.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In PDGA play. And in fact, Ronnie played one PDGA event that year, and you were there, Ron. It was in San Saba, Texas.
Okay.
Ronnie, you stunk. You and Nick got smoked, dude. You got 26th.
Wow. We started off really well.
But that old fart next to you did all right. Do you remember who you played with, Ron?
I do.
Blue Shooter.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one I'm shocked wasn't in your 5, by the way.
Yeah.
Didn't Matt E and Hetty play together that year too?
Ron beat him.
Yep.
Yep.
You remember who won, Ron?
I think it might have been Kenny. Don't know.
He wasn't there. Chauncey Donaldson and Ron Russell.
Ron Russell.
Yeah, Ronnie Russell,
Yep.
yeah.
And then Dave Greenwell and Brad Hammock got second.
Yep.
And then you and Jimmy got third.
Well, we were in a tie, actually. There was somebody else that was tied with us.
And there were some crazy names on that list also.
Oh, yeah.
I think I want to say, like, after the first day, you guys were like lead card, and you guys were the lead group, and me and Bunch were on the next group, and then me and Bunch said,
the old number one roller went south, huh?
That place was phenomenal. I hadn't ever seen so many different things that could bite you in one place.
What a property, though, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just pokey is all get out.
You remember our trip to was ours in San Saba?
San Saba.
Is that where we went to the
Mexican restaurant where I bought you lunch or dinner?
Yeah, you did. I ate my entire meal, and the last bite had a bug in it. So they gave me.
No, that's not true. That's not true. It's a good story, but it's fairly long, and it ends up with Smitty's got half a plate left when he finds this Ichabod crane fly, one of those big flying deals that looks like a mosquito, on the side of the plate, in the sauce, and he's like, and it was their grand opening. Can you imagine Smitty? Smitty's there. It's their grand opening. This is an upscale Mexican restaurant, and we've been talking with the bartender because they couldn't get us in. It was so packed. And so she goes, gets the maitre d'. Maitre d' comes out there and goes, "Can I help you with your problem, sir?" And so slickly palmed that bug. That was so slick. And she's like, "Can I get you a new plate?" And you finished it. You said, "No, I'm going to finish this plate." It was really, really good. So you ate the plate of food, and then there was two guys over there drinking yards. Remember the yards?
No, I don't
They were
remember.
drinking yards of beer. The big glasses that are like 3 foot tall. Okay, and that was what I paid for, was two of those, because I had gone in with the idea that I was going to buy dinner for Smitty and his partner John Cunningham, and uh, the way it worked out, I bought two beers. They were big beers, but they were just two beers, so it
Doing
was.
pretty good for you. I think the strangest part of this whole story is these two gentlemen were in a place that had a maitre d'. So I think that's probably
Oh, she was very slick.
That was a
man,
fun
that was
trip.
good food.
That was just a fun trip, man.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, yeah, that was great. That was good. I remember the whole way there. Do you remember who you played with?
Yeah. The turbo putter.
The whole way there, you called him a turbo putting mother effer every trip. You're like, every time, how good are you going to be? Then on the way home, all you could say was that turbo putting mother effer.
Hey, we took
Oh, you
third
were so
again.
let down.
We got third.
You were so let down.
Yeah, well, I didn't pay.
There you go.
He paid my way to come and play as his partner, and we took
Yeah,
third.
What was his?
Mark
Martin, right?
Martin.
Yeah. That guy could freestyle.
Yes.
He was good at that. And good at showing up at tournaments and trying to barter his way in.
Smitty, you got any more stats? You want to play a game real quick and let the old man go?
That's it for my stats. But man, that was so fun looking those up today.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like
Yeah,
I use PDJ and Stat Mando, and man, it's really cool to go back and look on some things. I thought Ron on Stat Mando would have enough of a sample size to be able to get into the list of individual players beat on the Stat Mando site, but his name doesn't pull up on there, so I don't think it's the information's pulled through. I think he would actually be on that list if it did. So
yeah, he's played enough big events with those other guys that you would think he would.
All right, I got a quick game. Let me pull up my deal here. So we know Ron Convers is kind of the Midwest genius, right? So 5 states that Ron has played the most events in, and he's played sanctioned events in 18 states according to the PDGA. But the 5 states, obviously, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Those are the 5 states he's played the most sanctioned disc golf in. Each one of those states have a top 5 all-time PDGA money winner, right? Top 5. 4 times we're going to have the same person. So there's 21 overall players that are in the top 5 of those states. If you get, I'll let all 3 of you play. If you get one of those 2 pointers, we'll give you the 2 points that goes along with it, right? So this encompasses all events sanctioned by the PDGA and Disc Golf Pro Tour.
And we just got to tell you a name who's in the top 5 of those states.
Top 5 of one of those states of all-time money leaders.
George Smith, Missouri.
George Smith is number 2 in the state of Missouri at $39,734.
Yep, that was pretty easy.
Coda Hatfield, Oklahoma.
Coda Hatfield, Oklahoma, number 1, $65,898.
That was pretty easy.
Wait. Say that again.
Coda Hatfield is number 1. These are events within that state, right? So it's only within that state, $65,898.
Let's see, Texas would be.
Wait, Gerb's got one.
Gerber, you're up.
EMAC, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Eric McCabe, 3rd in the state of Kansas with $24,890.
You're up, Ron.
Yeah. I'm
One
trying
of
to
the
think of-
you just got to pick a person from one of those 5 states.
They don't have to be from that state. It's golf
Just
that
win
they've
that money
played
that state.
in that state. Money they've won in that state.
I know my next 5 guesses.
Well, Mitch Mack, Oklahoma.
Mitch Mack is not on the list.
Really? Wow. I'm shocked.
Ron Kahn.
Ron
all 5
Convers.
states.
Ron Convers is a 2-point get. Ron Convers in the state of Oklahoma, 5th all time with 20,737. State of Kansas, he's 4th all time with $24,055.
How'd I do in Texas?
You were well, they play a lot of big events down there.
That's true.
But you were in, I believe, in the 20s in there. You were like 15th in Missouri, and in Arkansas you were on the list as well.
Yep.
On the list in all 5s.
Bo Tillman, Oklahoma. Is he up there?
Bo Tillman is on the list for the state of Oklahoma
Right.
at, I got to scroll back up here, number 2, I think. Yes, Bo Tillman, number 2, $45,518. Ron Convers.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's see.
We're missing some highly obvious ones here.
All-time money winners.
Remember, there's some big events played in a couple of those states.
Yeah. I don't know who to pick. Off the top, see, I'm still going back with the old guys.
No money back then.
Yeah,
Stop.
no. That's
You
the
didn't win
hard
money
part.
back
I
then.
know who the good players were, but I don't know who made the most money. Most money's right now.
Think super obvious.
Paul.
Paul Macbeth.
Yep.
2 times on the list. State of Kansas, Paul Macbeth is number 1 all time, $58,012. Paul Macbeth is also on the list. He's on the list twice. Hold on.
Prime Missouri.
In the state of Arkansas, Paul Macbeth is number 5 at $14,328.
How about Andrew Presnell?
Andrew Presnell is
Missouri.
another 2-pointer. Number 1 state of Missouri, 52,702. He's also 3rd in the state of Arkansas at 16,836.
Chris Clemens, Missouri.
Chris Clemens, Missouri is not on the list. That would surprise me as well. He's to be fair, he just barely missed the list.
Yeah, but it's money in that state, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The states that you've played the most in. That's why we picked these 5 states.
Yep.
So nobody's got anything from Texas. Just throwing that out.
Texas is hard because everybody plays there. Of course, let's go with Ricky.
Ricky Wysocki is on the list 2 times.
Yep.
He is 2nd all time in the state of Kansas at 39,263, and he is 4th all time in the state of Arkansas at 14,700.
Not Texas.
Not
huh?
Texas?
Not Texas.
Wow.
Okay, I got one. Bradley Williams, Texas.
Bradley Williams is number 1 all time in the state of Texas, $99,046.
Jeez.
Yep.
Gerber,
Kansas. That's where I want to go. But is Smitty on the Kansas one?
Smitty will round out your Kansas people. Smitty's 5th all time in the state of Kansas, $20,922. All right, we got 2 rounds left. Smitty is leading by 1. Ron's leading Ron by 1 and leading Gerber by a lot as usual.
Now you
I got it guaranteed when it comes to me, by the way, Ron. So you better get it.
Nice. Well, there's me, right? Somewhere in that mess.
You've
No?
already been guessed.
Yes. Dang it. I'd want to do it twice. Let's see. EMAC.
You guys do have guessed 10 of the 21 available players.
I know. Kevin McCoy,
Yep.
Oklahoma.
Maybe
Kevin
before
McCoy did not make the list for the state
Really?
of Oklahoma.
Nolan Grider.
Nolan Grider, Texas.
Nolan Grider, state of Texas. Third all time, 63,224.
Is Heimberg on any of these lists?
Calvin Heimberg is number 1 in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Jonesboro.
Jonesboro.
$27,307. He's dominated.
I got another one. I got one. Better not miss, Ron. I got a double whammy coming up.
Surprised Ricky didn't show. Let's go with
There are no doubles left.
Oh,
Devils left.
You guys did get all of the doubles.
Paul Ulibarri, Texas.
Ulibarri actually just misses on like 2 or 3 of these lists. Texas is one of the ones he was in the top 10 on. Paul Ulibarri is not on the list though.
KJ USA.
Arkansas.
Kevin Jones is not on the
What?
list.
Oh. Nico LaCastro.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's yours.
No, I was gonna guess him anyway. I was gonna go Coling just because you already got me thinking about Coling.
Germ is not on the list. So that'll finish the score. Chris, you win, but I'm going to give you the remaining players. Okay?
Nico, Missouri.
You guys guessed. So we'll start with Oklahoma. You guys got Coda, Bo, and Ron. You missed Brandon Cawthorn, number 3. Clayton Lawson, number 4.
Yeah.
State of Kansas, you guys guessed everybody. Missouri, you got Presnell and Big George. You missed Zachariah Johnson, number 3. Nico LaCastro, number 4, and Brock Roller, who I'm unfamiliar with, at number
Who?
5. Brock Roller. 83 events, 18 wins, $19,618 in the state of Missouri alone.
He plays all local stuff, probably.
Must have. So Texas, didn't guess a whole lot of the Texas guys. There's going to be some names that you kick yourself with. Emerson Keith, number 2, almost $70,000. Matthew Hall, who I'm not familiar with, but
Oh, he used to play a ton.
Yep.
4th all time, almost $61,000, and Miles Seaborn, number
Oh.
5. Miles was nearly $60,000. And then you guys got everybody in Arkansas with the exception of Chris Eads.
Okay.
Haven't seen
We
that
only
goofy
missed
guy
all our-
forever.
We only missed our teammates.
haven't seen that goofy guy in a long time. So
Wow.
that's your game.
Cool. That was a cool game. That Statmando or PDJ?
That is mostly Statmando. I went back and kind of pulled some other stuff, but Statmando will let you sort by state. They actually have career stats already pre-sorted by state in their stat zone. So
That's cool. Right on. Well, you got anything else, Ron?
anything you want to promote real quick?
Yeah, I got one thing. Unless we're Ron, you want to go?
You do
Yeah.
it first.
I just we have a fundraiser going on at Salina for Patrick Ryan for Grandma. They had a big loss in their family, so I'm posting the link for that now. If you guys want to go check the Facebook event page out for that, there's a lot of information over there for what they got going on, raffles, all kinds of fun stuff. So.
Yeah, they're doing both a tournament and a raffle that you can buy tickets online, and you don't have to be present to
I do think
win
they
if you care about that. But,
They said they're doing one round now as well. So
oh, good.
Yeah,
And doubles.
real
One round doubles.
yep, one
real
round
sad
doubles.
to hear about that for Pat.
Yeah, real shocking.
Yeah, it was too. Yeah, I was pretty stunned to hear that. But yeah, thoughts certainly go out to Pat. And if you can, if you have the wherewithal, please feel free. Take advantage of that. Let's see if we can make that kid some money. Ron, you got anything you're wanting to promote?
Well, I got a couple plugs. I have been teaching on and off for, well, years now. But I'm starting to try and go back into it as more of a regular thing rather than being on and off. The other one, I put in a bunch of courses in Arkansas. Strange that you had mentioned Arkansas like that. Recently, within the last 2 years, I've dropped 2 courses and then done some redesign on some other stuff. But if you get a chance and you get over there towards the middle of the state, there's a nice big lake, Greer's Ferry, which has a nice course right off of what they call Cedar Beach. And I'm pretty proud of it. It's a good course. I'd like to see it get played more. I know that it's got the quality for it. And other than that, I've got a disc coming out first part of next year. Like you said, should give the wind directions. And they've already made me a plate. So as soon as I can get those printed up and out, I'll probably start putting them online.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, Ron.
Hey,
It was a
man.
great time talking with you even before we started the show. It's always been awesome to pick your brain, and some of my best disc golf memories involve you in a black leather jacket. And sorry, I just pictured you in that jacket and some of the many places I've seen you wear that thing.
Really? Didn't even ask me about the hat, but thank you.
Well, somebody want to know how many of those hats you had.
I don't know. I went through multiples, and the last one that I had, Duck hit me up and said, I want to put this in a wall of shame. And I gave it to him for him to memorialize somewhere up there at Duck's at Wichita. So it's up there, and I probably will start with a new one soon.
I one time lost the KDJ trophy for a year and found it at Ducks. Oh, man.
How many times you win that thing, Ron? How many times you win Beloit?
Did you go and play this year, Smitty? No,
No.
you did not. Yeah, twice more than Smitty.
Okay.
Eric's here. Apparently, he said
I
you're the
believe
only.
it's-
He
I
said,
believe
Eric,
it was 7.
oh, really?
Yes.
Eric says you're the only person Ralph ever growled at.
I freaked him out. Yes. He
He's a
didn't
good
like
judge of character.
it. I gotta admit, he knew
Ralph's
he was
my
the top
barometer.
dog.
Oh, man. So, right on. Well, I do want to say one more thing. I got to, this is our last show, I think, with Gerber, from what I understand. Lucas is going to come in and take over. Gerber, I really appreciate you getting us going on this and being here for all 11 episodes that you helped us out with. So,
Yeah, thanks for asking me to do it. I appreciate it. It was fun to
Yeah.
get this thing started, and we'll hand it off to Lucas, and he'll really get it rolling from here. So
Yeah, putting up with me and the old guy for the last year. That's we've yeah.
I feel
couldn't be
sorry for
easy, so-
anybody that has to do
Yeah.
that.
you guys
So
aren't that bad. You guys are fine.
but
Lucas doesn't know what
we
he's
really
getting
do
into.
appreciate it, man. And we'll see if we can't continue the tradition that we've started together and see what we can take it from there, man. Appreciate
Trust
you.
you guys. Trust you guys.
Well, we do know one thing, though, moving forward. We'll still beat Lucas in every game.
That's true. You guys don't have to worry about that.
He
He
doesn't
didn't
even know who the old people are.
Yeah, Lucas. Yeah. So,
So
Learned
Right
enough
on,
names
boys.
through this. It was nice. So.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see
Thanks.
you. You want to see me?
Yep.
We'll see everybody else. So peace.
we'll see you.
That's
Later
right.
on.